So I love Super7. I think they make some amazing toys. But what the hell is this? They're tiny. I got these Micronaut figures. I was really excited about them. I thought, hey, finally somebody's doing Micronauts. Somebody sent me the link and like, hey, check it out, Micronauts. I'm like, yes, finally, Super7. I've got some Super7 figures that are like this tall, like the Simpsons figures are gigantic, and I've been so impressed with them. So I really expected that these figures were gonna at least be like a 6-inch figure. I didn't expect them to be, you know, as big as this. But yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna open them up and we'll see. But I'm not so sure. I'm gonna get you as much information about these as I can, but so far the impression is, wow, they're really small. Okay, I'm gonna start with Baron Karza. Now, when I like to open up my packaging that's in a blister pack, I like to leave the card intact. I don't like to mess with anything. I cut the plastic. So I use a little bit of a different knife. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna slice all the way around this edge. Be nice and clean. So if I wanna stick this guy back in, I totally can. Yeah, see, so I leave my card mostly intact, and believe it or not, if I wanted to put a piece of cellophane tape on that edge, I'd barely be able to tell that it was open. And my goal is not to fool people into thinking it's opened. I would never try to sell it as unopened. I just want it to look like it hasn't been. Alright, so we've got Baron Karza here. Get him out of this thing. So far, seems pretty posable. Sadly, he doesn't come apart, which I didn't expect that he would. Doesn't have any firing elements. At least these joints are what appear to be metal, which is semi-good. So, alright. Well, that's Baron Karza. And, yeah, I'll do some close-ups as good as I can get. He's a pretty small figure, obviously. You know, I was pretty excited about this because it's a Micronaut, for crying out loud, and these are the toys I grew up with. So, oh wait. No. They teased me. They had like this. This is the, there's like a little button that you pull to fire the fist. I don't know why they didn't have his fists. Like he's got like open hands. The original Baron Karza had fists because he would launch. So I'm not sure what the goal was there, but yeah, that's Baron Karza. Okay. Right, I just want to do a quick comparison here. That is Baron Karza, and this is the vintage Baron Karza minus. Baron Karza's hands, see how the hands are fists? Are notorious for just firing off into oblivion and then you can never find them again. That's why I'm missing this one. I'm going to do a video where I 3D print one of these hands at some point. But yeah, so this is the original. Now one of the things about Baron Karza was you could take them apart, see? So he had different, all his joints were sort of constructible. So you had all these elements that you could change on Baron Karza, including his head. And that was one of the things about the interchangeable world of Micronauts. Now, I know that this is a figurine of Baron Karza, but I'm just a little disappointed in the lack of functionality overall. I understand, you know, it's a lot different today's day and age, but, you know, just being a big Micronaut fan, it would have been cool. Maybe just if he had like the, I don't have the shooter in there too, but if they had some shooting element maybe would make it feel a little bit more like Baron Karza. Obviously, size difference is significant. I really did expect this to be a little larger. I think I've only said that like 500 times. I'm gonna say it again when I do the Biotron one. If you're noticing a lot of detail on this Baron Karza, so am I. And because of the magnification of the camera, we can actually see it, but it's so small that you can't see it with the naked eye. Okay, we're gonna do Biotron here. Same dealio. Okay, Micron. Wow, that sucked. That was actually really hard to get him out of there. He was in there pretty good. Okay, so this is Biotron. Oh, that moves. His head doesn't move. Oh, it does. Okay. I was like, why would his head not move? Hey, that comes off. Okay, that makes me feel a little better about him. I mean, he's a tiny version of Biotron, which is exciting to have. I am excited about anything new Micronauts. But, you know, overall, he's really small. He's really small. Okay, that is Biotron. Okay, so we got baby Biotron here. I kind of trying to think of that, like Biotron Jr. maybe? Baby Biotron? I'm not sure. And this one doesn't even fit in the frame. This is the actual Biotron. And holy shit, I just thought of something. Could we stick Biotron inside of Biotron? Not really, but I really want to. That would be something. Yeah, okay, well, it didn't work. But I do like the fact that you could remove this, like the actual Biotron. There's a figure that goes in, one of the time travel figures that goes inside here. It would have been cool if he fit in there. That would have been cool. But he'd have to be much smaller, which would make him ridiculous. But, you know, there's a lot of functionality on Biotron. Again, they're buildable. They could have added, like, maybe they could have added these hands to be like that. I don't know, maybe at that scale it would have been hard. Everything that scale becomes hard. There are some proportions. No, they look pretty decent. You know, they've got a lot of the details there. So, yeah, I mean, he's just so tiny compared to the actual Biotron. I think anybody who has had the Micronauts probably will be a little surprised at how small they are. Did I say they were small? Yeah. There's also some nice detail here on Biotron, and one thing I forgot to mention is that he's much more posable than the original Biotron, so you can get some pretty fun poses. Overall, the detail level is the same as Baron Karza. Really nice, but it's so small that it is hard to see. It would have been nice also to see some of the stickers that you can apply on Biotron on this actual figure. So I opened up these guys. I do really love the packaging on both of these. They're very reminiscent of the actual toys. Not a true one-to-one, more similar to the Time Traveler figures, I think, in the, you know, the blister pack. So nobody's really touched the Micronauts in a really long time, and I really appreciate that. I'm glad to see Biotron done. There actually have been iterations of Baron Karza back in the early 2000s. A couple of them. Some Time Travelers. I have some of those figures. But no one's touched some of the big figures. These were the iconic figures from the original Micronauts. Biotron, Microtron, Nemesis, These are the ones that everybody had. So, and obviously Baron Karza, you know, a lot of people have Baron Karza too, but it's just cool that somebody touched on these. It would be great if someone messed around with the vehicles. I think the vehicles were always very fun. So, anyway, I think, thank you Super7 for making these. Maybe make them a little bigger next time. Maybe make an Ultimates. They still will have a special place on my shelf. Please like and subscribe. And leave some comments if you're a Micronauts fan. If you're a retro toy collector. Thanks for watching. Could we stick Biotron inside of Biotron?